Hi, and welcome on my channel Perfumery and Sophie. Today I want to talk about a fragrance, Rice Milk by Orchid. This is a new fragrance released in 2026. It is a floral, nutty rice fragrance. This one is an affordable rice fragrance, and I wanted to test this fragrance with you. First, we are going to talk about the notes. Rice Milk has a top of lily of the valley, hazelnut, and bergamot. The notes in the middle are rice, milk, musk, sweet almond, orange blossom, tuberose, and rose. In the base we have musk, vanilla, cashmere wood, cream cedarwood, and amber. All these notes together are making this a lactonic, sweet, musky, nutty, vanilla, woody, almond, powdery, and silky fragrance. All these different notes have different kind of thickness, different kind of texture. This is what makes this fragrance so interesting. And this is why it caught also my interest. These more affordable fragrances you cannot test in store. I ended up buying this fragrance without knowing how this one really smells like or really performs. Let's do a first spray of Rice Milk by Orchid and see what we are getting. The bottle has a nice design. The white middle is from glass. I think this represents the purity of rice and the milk, the lactonic factor. What I expect when I look at the bottle is that milk and rice are the head players. In the first spray, I get floral fresh opening with lily of the valley. Really fresh and really sharp. It's almost something that you don't really expect. It is really floral and a little bit of air freshener, green. It's a whole kind of different vibe. When I first sprayed this, I was a little bit disappointed. It was not really what I was expecting from this fragrance. When this note is toning down, you get a creamy undertone with milky thickness. Rose is in the background. I can smell it, but it is in a really soft, sweet way. For me, it's blending and mixing really well with the rice. As you would wash the rice, you have this water, and the water has like a little bit of a floral fragrance almost. For me, the lily of the valley is a little bit too sharp. It doesn't feel really soft and recognizable, and a little bit of powdery, flowery in this kind of way, giving you a warm feeling. For me, it is more hard and screechy and doesn't really belong in the mix. So I was glad when the lily of the valley got a little bit more to the background and was toning down. The rose gives it, on the other hand, a really beautiful, soft sweetness in sense of enhancing and embracing the warm rice, giving this floral aspect that rice can have after you washed it and you smell the water. And it really feels soft to the nose. Sweet almond comes later. This is coming more to the surface in the dry down. Cedarwood gives it a warm and creamy finish and mixes really well with the vanilla and the almond. It is true that it has something synthetic. When I smell the fragrance, it's almost that I smell a little bit of a tiny plasticky factor. I think the plasticky vibe can come from the powdery finish. I think that they did the powdery finish in some kind of way that this is crossing to my nose like this. Strangely enough, I don't dislike it. I think this is because of the notes that give me like lactonic, nutty, sweet, creamy, milk, rice, a warm feeling. I can still enjoy the fragrance. This is a skin scent. It will open really strong, but it will turn into a skin scent. The orange blossom and the tuberose are not really present for me. For me, it is not overly sweet, as I would think orange blossom would give me, or overly creamy and sweet with tuberose. To my nose, the creaminess comes from the milk, the rice, and the almond. If you are worried that orange blossom and tuberose are stealing the show, this is not the case. Then we come to the best part of the review, in my opinion, because I always really enjoy to do this part. The story of the fragrance. It is later in the evening and it is a bit chilly. You walk through a small street with tiny restaurants and cafes. At some point, someone is crossing you from the right side. This person came out of one of the tiny restaurants. Either this person was working there or maybe just had dinner. The point is, at this certain moment that this person is crossing you and holding the door open of this restaurant to let himself out. This is the moment where you smell warm air coming out of that place. It is creamy and cozy, milky, and has the texture of steamy, airy rice. It's comforting with sweet, soft, gentle thickness that represents the smell of cooked rice and rice pudding. You take a deep breath before this person who is leaving this tiny restaurant is closing the door, and before the colder air of outside is entering your lungs again. The season of this fragrance, I would say every season. But for me, especially the more colder ones. This is not because the fragrance is so really strong, but because of the cozy feeling that it gives me. Longevity. I get about 4 to 5 hours on my skin. Sillage of this fragrance, I would say between weak and medium. If I have to rate it between 0 and 10, I would say 3.5 to 4. My final thoughts about this fragrance. When I smelled this fragrance for the first time, I was a little bit in shock. This was because of the Lily of the Valley, really sharp, really fresh, and gave me a whole other vibe than the rice milk in my mind already did before I even smelled it. But when I waited a little bit more longer, and yes, I have this fragrance for a couple of weeks now, I think maybe through time it gets also better. I like the fragrance in all his uniqueness because I have to say that I don't have anything in my collection with an official rice note, and I enjoy it. It is ricey, it is soft, it's cozy, and it's steamy. Also airy and creamy. The combination of the notes are well made. As I mentioned earlier, it has a little bit of plastic edge. I cannot really put my finger on top of it what kind of note, or maybe it's the combination of notes that are creating this. I think maybe the combination of powdery notes and lactonic notes, yeah, they are the opposite and can intend to give you a little bit of plasticky edge. I think this is what happens here. I don't hate it. I think in combination with all the other notes, I enjoy the fragrance. So if it is really milky and rice fragrance, yes. If it is really realistic and not synthetic at all, I would say no. Does it smell cheap? No. This is not the case. I would say it's more of an interesting fragrance. After like a couple of hours, I think about 4 to 5, I would say in the last phase, I will get a little bit more of the Lily of the Valley again. This is the only thing that I was experiencing. For me, Lily of the Valley could have just stayed home. Not the opening, not the really latest dry down, but really the middle phase of this fragrance, beautiful. When you find this video helpful, thank you for watching and I would like to see you on my next video. Bye!